Hi everyone, I'm continuing my talks on my immigrant experience and of course my ongoing job search for better work. So in my portfolio of my skills, I've done a lot of different things. I've worked on anti-money laundering, I've worked on coordinating projects, I've worked on supporting senior level leaders. And of course, you have to adapt to different personalities, and people have different ways of getting things done. The same thing in customer service. People have different personalities, and it takes time to get used to different cultures. The culture in Canada is very different to the culture in the US or in England. And even the language that we use in England is different compared to the language that we use in the United States. So it takes a lot of adapting, and it takes a lot of shifting mindsets and gears. The one thing that I've learned is that there's a lot of fake people out there. There's a lot of people who like to make jokes out of life and out of what they're doing to you. But the consequences, unfortunately for me, in my case, were very, very serious. So, for example, I volunteer with Bono. I help him as a parliamentary riding leader with the One campaign. And when I comment, people know that I'm his volunteer and that I've been with him since he set up the campaign in Canada. But unfortunately, some people are idiots and they're into trafficking, or they're into all kinds of things, or they have nothing better to do. They're sitting waiting to see when I'm coming online so that they can post some ridiculous friend request like I'm going to accept it. And unfortunately, it doesn't just affect their reputations because they're making fools of themselves by doing it. It also hurts me, it hurts Bono, it hurts the people around him, it hurts his fans, because you have no way of controlling it. No matter how many times you block and delete, these idiots come after you. So that's all you can do. Even my friends' accounts get hacked, my accounts get hacked. So it's really unfortunate. And I think even with what I went through in the banking industry, I landed up being very, very hurt by what happened to me when I was being tracked and followed by my relatives, my sister, and all these people. When I told my mother when I was going to travel, she knew where I was going to be. She has met all of my friends in South Africa. She's met Jay and Colleen. She's met Maria Bose. She's met Simon Johnston. She knew where I was going to be. And there was no need for these idiots to have me tracked and followed. So there's nothing you can do, unfortunately, because it wasn't only me that landed up being hurt. All the executives I worked with landed up being hurt. And for me, it's very hard. It's very, very sad because some of those executives that I worked with, like Michael Stein, who was at HSBC, Evan Mammis, Heather Edwards, Teresa Bowman, I loved them. I cared about them very, very much, and I had relationships with them. So it hurt me, and it hurt them. I know that a lot of people don't reply to me now because they just don't know what to say to me. There are some people that will still reply to me, and I appreciate that communication because at least it makes me feel like I have some relationship left with them. Because when I left TD all those years ago, I left on a high. I left on a good note. I left thinking, okay, this is a positive thing. I've got so much to offer. Things are going to open up for me. And it's very disheartening and it's very disappointing that after 5 years of being on the floor in customer service, nothing's changing for me. And I do still apply to the banks. I apply to TD. I apply to BMO. I apply to a lot of different financial organizations in England. And I'm hoping that I'll get that break because for me, it's very disappointing and it's very disheartening to know that people did this and coordinated it behind my back. because I'm not a child. I can make these decisions about traveling and what I want to do on my own. And even when I went to university in South Africa, I made that decision on my own. Yes, my grandmother encouraged me. She told me, you must come forward, you must study, you must be on your own 2 feet financially. When you get married, you must be like me and Papa. You must have an equal partnership. You mustn't go into a relationship where the man is controlling everything and you have nothing. So she guided me, but I made those decisions. Nobody else encouraged me. Nobody else supported me. I made those decisions. And I supported my uncles. I knew things were hard for them. So even though I wanted to go and see my grandmother before she passed away, when they told me, no, don't come because things are very, very hard, save that money and use it towards your fees, I supported them. It was sad for me. I never got to see my grandmother. She phoned me before she passed away. She phoned to say goodbye, that she felt that she wasn't going to make it. She said, oh, I feel like I've just got a cold, but I just wanted to say goodbye. And that night she died in her sleep. So, life is full of disappointments. And I would say in the 21 years I've been in Canada, like Regis College, the registrar and people, my professors, and they always say to me, you're such an inspiration. And I tell them, what inspiration? If I have no money in my bank account and other people have to give me money in order for me to live, what inspiration is that? It's not an inspiration. If you study and you apply yourself and you graduate and you come up, you want to earn the money. You want to see that pay off in financial rewards. You don't want to be dependent on others, especially when you're over 50. And I know that circumstances change and people get affected, and sometimes decisions that other people make, like when we had the crash in 2007 with Enron and all of that. I know those things affect our economy, but it's still disappointing for me and it's still disheartening for me. So I keep applying, I keep putting my resume out there, and I wanted to work with Michael Stein, and I know Michael tried. I know he tried to get me back into HSBC, because I used to email him often from LinkedIn to say, can't you get me a position working with you? Because I used to enjoy him. I used to wait for him to come from New York. Say, hey, how you doing? I used to love Michael Stein. He was one of my favorite executives. I really enjoyed working with him. I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles. You don't always get to work with the people you like. And now I'm hoping they don't destroy my relationship with Bono the way they've destroyed everything else. Because there are some people in this world, they don't have what you have, so they come in and they destroy what you've taken all these years to build. I know Bono knows me, but I hope and pray that they don't destroy that relationship with him. Because I've worked very, very hard to develop that relationship. I can't communicate with him directly, but I communicate through the board. I post messages on Facebook. I tweet to him. And he's been a big help to me and to all of us in Canada with our goals and our aims and what we're doing. So I don't have anything to do with Roger Federer anymore, because I'm not interested in working with the Royals. And I still try to help Andy Murray, Novak. There are certain people, it was because of Novak that I came back to tennis. So I happened one day to be sitting in the park and watching YouTube, and tennis came on and Novak was playing. I was like, tennis? What's that? I haven't followed tennis for years. Because if you have no job and you have no income, you constantly worry about, where's my next job going to come from? Where's my next opportunity going to come from? How am I going to pay the bills? I hope I don't land up on the street. I hope I don't land up all alone. And that's why now if I get an opportunity where I can work in America, or I can work close to my cousins in America, I'll take it and I'll go. I mean, of course, ideally it would be nice to stay in Canada, but there's nobody here. No one's going to be here for me. And they've shown me that. They've got their own lives. At least in America, I know I've got my cousins. I know that I won't be left on the street. Not to say that ultimately if something happens, I can't go to them. I can. But it's very different to have that support in place and to know that there are people there for you. The same with my cousins in England. When I was there, I never worried because I knew if anything happened, I could go to Maggie, I could go to Sharon, I could go to people. I have very good friends there. Whereas over here, I don't have those kinds of friendships. People are more interested in their nuclear families and their own lives and what they have to do. So I've gotten on with my life, but for me, that's my prayer, is that they don't break that relationship with Bono and U2, because they've destroyed everything else. Michael Stein is gone now, he's retired. He was the one person I wanted to work with, to be his executive assistant again. And it didn't work out. Anyway, that's life. I've still got my credentials, I've got my education, I've got all my experience that I've built up. And I'm looking forward to building on those things and moving forward. I've still got my singing voice. I can still practice on my own with Elvis. I can play my piano. I've still got a lot of good things that I can give thanks for and that I'm grateful for. But as for Regis telling me I'm an inspiration, until I get that job paying me what I'm worth and I have money in my bank account and I can pay back Bhavna Taylor in England and give my mother back her money and not have that monkey on my back that I'm being laughed at and I'm a laughing stock and I can't hold a job and I'm a bum and I am the problem. Until I can have that kind of job where I'm earning the money that I should be earning, I do not see myself as an inspiration. Because the people who have the money are the ones that, the Bible even says it. It says use money to build relationships, tainted as it is. When you don't have money, there's a lot of things that you cannot do. And I've sacrificed and sacrificed and sacrificed so that I can be respected and be valued as an educated person. And I'm not. So until I get that kind of job that I want to have, I'm not going to give up. And whether that's at Regis College or whether it's in America, closer to my cousins and closer to my godmother, that's fine with me. But the money is important to me because I'm tired of always living on the edge. I'm tired of always being on the margins. I'm tired of saying, oh yeah, and maybe next year I'll get my license to drive. Maybe next year I'll have some money in my bank account. Maybe next year things will turn around for me. And I've been faithful to Bono. I've been faithful to his cause. I've been faithful to him. And I love him just as much as he loves me. And if anybody tries to destroy that relationship, the same way Credit Suisse landed up failing, they must know there's a God. Because I worked too hard to build that relationship with him, to have idiots spoil it. I'm not going to let it happen. Michael Stein is still connected with me. He might be retired, but he's still connected with me. And I still love him the same way today that I loved him when I supported him as his executive assistant. Nothing changed.